Montreal Canadiens defeat the Winnipeg Jets in Game 1 of 5-3. Guys, our coverage here on the fourth period brought to you as always by Bitbuy, Canada's #1 cryptocurrency platform. I want to start with you, Aaron. We can talk so much about the game, but the hit that Mark Scheifele laid on Jake Evans, we obviously hope he's okay, but I'm going to let you have the floor on this one.
Oh, this is going to have a huge impact on Game 2 and the entire series because we have to sit and bide our time waiting for player ops to figure out what exactly to do about this. It doesn't bode well for the Jets or Scheifele, the fact that we've already had Reeves, we've already had Kadri. This is a kind of stain on the game, right? As you go through the playoffs, you want as few options to suspend as possible. You understand the circumstance, the end of the game. The start of the play is you're trying to separate a guy from the puck and you're going to try and prevent him from scoring. But as the play plays out, you can see the ferocity in which he lays the hit. And I think his feet are on the ground to start, but how he finishes is really what's going to indict him, right? The idea that if you actually freeze the images, he's about 1.5 feet, 2 feet in the air. And as you sit and try and defend exactly what you were thinking or what you were doing in the moment, it's indefensible. The guy's got the puck in the net, and you already know exactly what he's trying to do, because there's a level of frustration for Winnipeg Jets that was building up. All these little scrums was going on the ice, in front of Price, in front of Hellebuck, and now it culminates into last seconds. What do you have to lose? You're going to try and create some sort of impact for Game 2. Well, the impact is you might not be present for Game 2. You might not be present for 3 or 4. It all depends on what's his history, and they'll combine so many factors into deciding, but I can't imagine he escapes without a suspension.
Yeah, absolutely, Wardo. I agree with you on that one. Look, he's not the type of player to go around and start headhunting or be that dirty type of player. He's a big hockey nerd. This guy lives and breathes hockey 24/7, but it doesn't excuse him from this play. That was an absolute brutal hit. He could have just come out and threw the stick out if he really wanted to try to block that from going into the net. But the puck was already going in before we saw the impact. So that was a rough one. Scheifele has a tendency of getting the emotions and the frustration out on the ice, but he never goes overboard until tonight. I'm very curious to see how many games he gets, because I would be shocked if he's not suspended for this one.
Well, the tough part, too, is you saw the few scrums that he was already involved with in the third period, right? He had thrown a cross-check. He was already on camera here in the States, up in Canada, and they could see him chattering back and forth with people. So his level of investment and his frustration was very visible to everyone prior to even this hit.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Department of Player Safety does here with Mark Scheifele as we head into Game 2 on Friday. So let's get into Game 1, guys. Was it a case of obviously the Winnipeg Jets, Aaron, maybe being, kind of waiting for too long? And for the Canadiens, you just finished Game 7, you're already in the thick of things, and you just go and play hockey?
To me, the Jets look ill-prepared. Like they come into a series almost like satisfied with what they did with Edmonton. And they weren't exactly set in their ways of how they're going to approach the Montreal Canadiens. And maybe they didn't know how to do it, right? And with the Montreal Canadiens, that to me was completely a team that was playing with a level of confidence and reckless abandon, because they knew what they had between the pipes gave them an allowance to make all the mistakes they felt they could in Game 1. They're on the road, nothing to lose. You're still the underdog. They've embraced that idea. And the Montreal Canadiens came back and played the way they started the season playing. Up and down the ice, skill set on display, guys feeling confident. And, the idea that these guys who are much maligned in the Perrys and the Stalls, Armias, coming into the playoffs, now you can basically erase all the ill will and the hatred from the fan base in the bandwagon right now. The axle's breaking and the brakes are falling off because everybody's jumping on. These guys are leading. So what Montreal has needed through this process of the playoffs they're getting right now, and I think, I wouldn't say it caught Winnipeg off guard, but in Game 1, there was a feeling out process the Winnipeg Jets had appeared, and the Montreal Canadiens could care less.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see Montreal take the approach they had in the final 3 games against Toronto and utilize it here against the Winnipeg Jets while still trying to get through that feeling out process of how the game was going to progress. And the Jets just couldn't react to it, similar to what Toronto had. But this is Game 1, and the Jets didn't know exactly how to combat that. Now, you can argue that there were some guys that were playing hurt. You certainly saw Dylan DeMello. He had a shift 20 seconds in, and he was out for the rest of the game. So they have some banged up bodies. But you'd imagine with so much time off that they would have been able to become a little bit more prepared in this one. As Aaron was alluding to. So I'm a little bit surprised at their overall effort in this one. We saw spurts when they came back and we're like, okay, we've got to get going here. We need a goal. But you need to be able to do that, especially in the second round, over a full 60 minutes. We didn't see that from the Jets at all tonight.
I actually got to tell you, I think that both teams are going to be the same circumstance, right? So Winnipeg basically played with 5D, and I think Montreal has to really reflect and make some decisions. Gustafsson gets burned on the first goal, and Kulak was kind of out to lunch in the second. It's the same thing that they've kind of feared, is the youth is going to bite them in the rear end. So the four guys playing on D for the Montreal Canadiens should prepare themselves for another 20-plus in minutes. And that will involve some athlete management, I'm sure, from Ducharme and the training staff in Montreal. And same with Winnipeg, is you've got to go with, at this stage, whatever's going to get the job done. And off of that performance in Winnipeg, I'm not exactly confident in what I got. It was too loose in the defensive end for Winnipeg, and Montreal basically had their way with a puck that you didn't even see an iota of that in the Toronto series.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for this. The Montreal Canadiens take Game 1 5-3 on the ice, but the next 48 hours, we'll be waiting to see what happens off the ice between these two teams.